Hey guys, it's Farrukh Ahmed. I'm a productivity and optimization coach, and I also host a podcast focused on inspiration and success stories so you too can go and live a life of your dreams. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, I'm Abe Seksek. Uh, I am the CEO of Rainmaking Innovations, and I am a serial entrepreneur, always wanting to know more about what people are doing.
Hey everyone, my name is Zohare. I am an entrepreneur and a founder of a couple of startups, an agency in Dubai and another startup that's going through a bit of a pivot right now. And I'm here to share and learn and I don't know, just spend some time with these guys because they're so much fun to talk to. So, shall we kick it off? Okay, so this week we're going to be talking about something that comes up every once in a while. A famous man by the name of Simon Sinek has done something called the Golden Circle, where he tells people to find their why. We're not going to be finding our why, but we're going to be talking about purpose. Purpose is something that oftentimes gets ignored and disregarded because it seems like a very ambiguous term, but in actual fact, it's probably the most important thing that you can do for yourself, both as a founder, as a company, and to help band people together with a common vision. And so, with that, we'll be talking about purpose, which is our focus for today. Should we kick it off then? So, I think, I mean, we've been chatting about this on and off as well ahead of the session. So, Abe, I think maybe we can start with you because you spend so much time around founders and startups because of the accelerator. You probably have to hammer this into a lot of these guys and girls who are coming in from all over the place. So, I don't know, what is purpose and how do we find it?
See, purpose can be really defined in many, many different ways. Some people take it as a mission in life to either have the idea of the business or actually what they're trying to build to push a personal experience, or some other people think that there is a need to create something new or disrupt, as what the tech industry has been doing for the last, I would say 2 decades. The purpose is very see. Um, I believe usually the purpose is always comes off of an aha moment. A lot of times people discover that, oh, I can do this much better. Maybe this is going to be my mission in life, or mission in life for the next couple of years at least, to push this idea, or to push this, uh, how to do this better, I guess. So that's what I've been seeing on these founder level slash startups. There's been quite a bit of really interesting purpose people pushing purposes that some of them are very humble. Some of them are very greedy, money oriented, which is still fine. At least it gives, a definition or an identity to the idea that they're trying to do. So purpose is important, and you can tell. A lot of companies, especially in the tech field, that lose purpose, and that's when these companies, begin to implode, or to really, you can tell when companies, especially when founders begin to lose their purpose, or why they started this business or this journey anyway. So I'm not going to give examples because I don't want to alienate anybody, but I know there's been a couple of companies that have been in the limelight recently who clearly, they just wanted to do something, but they've lost their main purpose to what they're doing.
Yeah, I think where you're mostly referring to Simon Sinek's book called The Infinite Game. It's a great book, and he defines a lot of great stuff in that. And what I see is purpose is, I think, in my opinion, purpose is the first thing that people overlook. Anything rough happens in the journey of the organization, immediately the first thing that people
Yeah.
forget is the purpose of why they have started in the first place. So I think purpose has to be the anchor point. It has to be something that you go back to. It's like it has to be a moral and moral compass, and the objective of being in the spaces in the first place. So yeah, it is important. But to continue with the way Abe you've started off the discussion is. When companies, I like to take it a little further ahead than the companies, even on an individual level. When you talk about purpose, I think it's imperative that we talk about how to define purpose, how to find out your purpose, because
Yeah,
there's a lot
agreed.
of noise out there.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. I agree. And
So let's talk a little bit
a lot
about that.
a lot of times, when we talk about founders, I do also agree that there's a lot of people who find their purpose for life, and it's not even like a business oriented. Some people want to help people. Some people really want to go out there and push uh, any kind of ideas on where they're not even economically or money generated. So purpose is very important in general. So it's what makes us get up out of bed, right? So
Yeah.
that's how it is. Zuhair, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I mean, as a founder, I have a different purpose, and I feel like, between different, so I have two different companies that do two entirely different things, and when I think about purpose, I think, what is it that I'm doing that is worth my time and the time of people that I expect to help me make it into something better than it is, right? Is it something that's going to help me shape the future? Is it something that's going to give me more money in the bank? Is it something that will give my family more security and safety down the road? I don't know. But I feel like, it's like so the nucleus of my purpose is basically something that drives my desire to do something significant, something that can create transformation or improvement in people's lives, and also give me something that ultimately is mine to own, whether it succeeds or fails. And I feel like that constantly changes with so much that comes in and goes out, because you can pivot your business 10 times, but your purpose can sometimes stay the same. It's not like your purpose defines your business objectives, right? But I think your purpose kind of gives you some direction or some kind of compass, how to be able to kind of orient yourself, and where, I guess giving you some structure in terms of, if you get off the path or if you lose yourself, then when you know that you've come back to your center, then you've kind of reacquired your purpose or something. It's a tough one. I feel like a lot of people focus so much on the minutiae of what they need to do, like the logistics, the operations, the doing of things, that they don't think about the why they're doing those things and what is it actually going to do for, in the grand scheme of things. So they get so invested in the idea of what they're doing that they don't really think about, is it the right way to do it? Am I too attached to it that it's hard for me to sort of focus on how to really separate myself and make it, really make it better. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a bit loosey goosey. I feel like people should spend some time and think about why they do the things they do, in this space, especially.
Yeah, agreed. I think also, and really, like, I can talk about my personal experience. I think I always redefine or go back to my purpose in like tough times like these. You know what I mean? Like, throughout the COVID, and through tough, it I believe these times kind of ground you back to your core purpose. You know what I mean? Like, there's, like, what I've learned is, again and again, I've learned that the network is what my network of family and my network of friends and people that work with me are the core of what I'm trying to help. So the purpose gets redefined every single time we kind of hit these kind of economic times or even tough times in general. So I totally agree, and it's not something like there isn't. I don't think there is a proper definition of a purpose, but I think it's something what you can define it as. That's my general feeling about this.
Yeah, but I want to bring another tangent into it. Sometimes people tend to get obsessed with what they believe is the purpose. And
Mm,
it might be actually the situation that you're in, or for example, if you believe in a concept, if you believe in a problem that you're trying to solve, for the community, and you have a startup for that, you have a company that focuses on that, and then if it's not doing too well, all pointers lead to the fact that it's time to pivot, but then you're so obsessed with it, with the idea, that you ignore all of those signs, and then you continue on that path only to fail at a later stage. So where does purpose come into all of that as well? Because you and I, we've all seen many of these situations where
Sure.
eventually people fail because they're too obsessed with the idea. So it's a lot of people think that my purpose is the actual idea that I am involved with, and I'm
Yeah,
somehow I don't 100% agree
I
with that.
I'm gonna jump in there real quick. I So, I mean, without getting into too many details for various reasons, mostly because I don't want to affect valuation as well. But, there's something that I've been trying to work on for a long time. I mean, let's just say that I didn't have white hair back then. It was a lot longer than before my white hair even thought about coming out, and I've got a lot of white hair now. And I was so deeply vested into this idea, and I tried many different ways to make it work. And I tried doing one type of thing that would make it work, and I tried another type of thing, and I kept getting battered with all kinds of obstacles. I tried this way, I tried that way, and I made a mental checklist of all the different ways that you could do something. And I sat down very recently, maybe about a year back, after talking to one of my advisors as well. And I really thought hard, and I was like, am I just getting in my own way? Am I losing sight of why I originally wanted to do this? Because I've been doing it for so long that I'm so deeply involved in it that for me to actually step away and I kept thinking that I've disconnected emotionally, but I think there's so many different degrees and layers that you don't really truly separate yourself until you're willing to sort of drop it at the edge of a cliff and just forget
Mm.
about it, and then
Yeah.
start some version of that again from scratch. I always used to think when I was in college, rewriting an essay from scratch was actually a lot easier than fixing the one that you were already working on, because it gets you to think about things from a fresh perspective. You don't lose the experience or the knowledge that you've accumulated getting up to that point. And I think we're so attached to that we think that we will. We think it's some sort of a physical commodity. And so actually, as we speak, I'm going through this incredible process. I've actually completely reshuffled my entire approach. I've brought some incredible advisors on board. I've got a co-founder on board, and we've completely scrapped the old stuff, and we're
Mm.
starting completely from scratch, like absolutely from scratch. And we recently did a pitch to one of my advisors, and I have to say that for the first time, the same thing that I've been working on for so long has finally found some sort of purpose. And it literally took us about 10 days to put the deck together, that otherwise has been taking me 2 years. And nobody understood what it was that we were doing because there were so many things. And so to your point, Farokh, I feel like, you need to really need to understand the importance of cutting the cord, and because your purpose doesn't go away. And this is my point here, is that
Mm.
you actually recalibrate with your purpose because you've disconnected with all the baggage and all the liabilities and the anchors that are kind of holding you back from it. And I feel so light. I feel like it's such a burden that's just lifted off my shoulders. I feel like I can conquer the world again. It's just like, and my team feels really empowered as well, which is even more incredible. Because they're not afraid of telling you as it is or how it is, and you're not afraid of anything either because you're all doing it from scratch together. So
I think you've really touched on something that is very, very important. And it's actually this, I won't call it, it's like the people around you, how you have to have advisors, at least a couple of people that you trust, or like a soundboard or anything like that, because that is very, very important. I can tell you, and I know he's going to be watching. There's a guy I always mentored, and he always reaches out to me. And the first time I ever met him, he was, I think, a 22 or 23-year-old kid, said, "I want to be the first trillionaire on Earth." I think that was, you know what I mean. And he was
nice.
like, and so,
That's more of
but
ambition than a purpose.
yeah, yeah,
But
no,
you
no,
know
but
what? It gives them a north star to travel towards, right?
you know what I mean. But the thing is, I've been like super smart, like, like genuine respect for this guy. This guy will be something. He's a go getter. But then, but then talking to people that he trusted, and then we kind of brought them to a more realistical purpose of, like, do your self growth, do all of that before you get into the numbers and you get onto you know what I mean, like, you know what's wrong with you being a multimillionaire first, you know what I mean, like a billionaire. uh, but but at least that was again, like, and I speak to a lot of young people coming out of university, even at university, and they tell me their purpose in life is one thing or another. But I think when they talk a lot to people and then they start trusting a certain few, that I think that also aligns and make sure that the purpose is attainable or realistic. You know what I mean? Some people, like, you talk to people and they give you this generic, I want to feed as many people as possible, which is a lovely purpose in life. But then again, there needs to be, like, they need to also back it up with a basic plan on how this is going to be done. And that's what I'm trying to say. And that's why the advisory, a couple of people who they really trust, even family, one or two family members, that is very, very important in the purpose. I think is just because you're vetting out something that is achievable. Because the worst thing is putting a purpose that is not achievable. It'll just let people down, and then it will let people never ever approach or get to their goals or
Yeah,
what
I
they're
think
trying to
it's,
purpose.
and I think this ties very well with the past two episodes where we discussed about crisis and culture. All of this all really brings together everything when you're talking about an organization, especially because this has to be communicated and drilled down from top to bottom across your board. Everybody needs to understand the purpose of the organization. Everybody needs to attach their purpose with the organization's objectives. So let's talk a little bit about individual purpose combining with the organizational purpose, because
Okay,
only when they're both gelled in together is when you see success,
that's true. That's true.
right? So
I
here you want to
I
take that up.
think, yeah, I mean, it's again, like, I think all of this stuff, and I have to say that, while there's been a lot of darkness and sadness around COVID, I have to say that I've really been using this time to kind of reflect and think about how to make it better for myself as well. And I have to say that it's given me and people around me an opportunity to really think hard about what priorities really are. And so a couple of things happened that I think tie into your point right now. And I won't say that it's because of COVID, because just timing worked out that way. But I guess one could say that it definitely had some impact and influence. Um, when it comes to aligning your purpose with the organization that you're working with, whether you're the employee or you're the employer, um, giving people a shared purpose, and this is a term I use a lot at my workplace as well. It's something I learned with one of my previous employers at the British Council, where they used to talk a lot about shared purpose. Um, and the idea is that you go through various exercises and routines to you bring to the table what you think you believe in, and then from there go through some exercises where you break apart what really are not important, and then from there find that one nugget that everyone can hold on to equally. And that's one way of doing it. Now, not everybody can do that. It requires physically participating, workshops, exercise, and things like that. But I think another way of really honing in on something like this is giving people stake in what you're doing. I think things like, yeah, employee stock options, or even equity in the business, um, and of course through a process. I mean, not just sort of hand them out like candy, but you know people need to earn it, but they also needs to. So I mean, when we do recruitment, we don't find people who fit the profile and are happy with the salary. We actually look more for cultural fit more than anything else. And typically recruitment cycles for us take about 6 months, and it's so painful. But when we find somebody, we're so happy with that. And we've recently done this thing where we've given stock options, equity to people, and we've already considered time served as earned. So anybody who's been with us for X amount of time, we've put in a cliff period and everything, and they've automatically been eligible for the equity.
Sure.
And people, it's just, we do so much more for this stuff. We wake up every day, we spend so much time together. Um, you want to feel like you're doing something that has more than a paycheck at the end of the month, right? I mean, you need to make your ends meet, but that's not what life is about, right? Life is about every day should amount to something more than the day before that. And
Yep.
when you look back, you think, I was worth it. I spent time and it was worth it. Whether I go on to become a founder myself or whether I continue working for other people because that's my comfort zone, so be it. But it should feel, like a savings account, right? Money should feel like it's accumulating at whatever pace you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, I think that's was one very tangible way of kind of giving people something. And it's, it sounds like a very tech founder thing kind of thing to do, but it's true. I mean, that's the way you get people engaged.
Agreed, 100%. You know what I mean? So it's definitely, that purpose. What I said earlier about waking up to bed, and then really what you said about every day making a difference is honestly is what drives a lot of people. It drives me personally. You know what I mean? Like, because I want to know that what stuff I am going to accomplish today. I actually write a list. I have a little notebook that it's all scratched up, but every day I start a new page with everything I have to do because I am getting a lot older, so I don't remember a lot of the stuff that I need to do. But and I even write little things like pay bills or so, like what I mean. Like it has to be written. If it's not on the list, I'm not gonna do it. You know what I mean? And at that time, me writing the list takes me like 15, 20 minutes in the morning. But honestly, it gives me a whole plan of what's gonna happen today, and this is
Yeah, so
pretty
you have
interesting.
direction for the whole day.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I
Purpose.
don't get me started on lists, man. I have all these lists and I write them in the morning and then I forget to look at them and I look at them the next day. I'm like, I didn't do any of that.
No, no, I
you
feel
know?
like I make sure that I look at the end of the day, and they're all like scratched up, and because that makes me happy. I tried to go digital and like downloaded a couple of apps. It's just not as satisfying, honestly, for me. Like scratching that stuff off, you know what I mean? So, I literally have that little notebook that I carry around everywhere. So. And it has this is what works for me. So but I keep getting motivated, and then sadly some items, especially if they're linked to a specific let's say government paperwork or whatever. Sometimes it's on so many lists that because I'm waiting for feedback or whatever, like sometimes I stop forgetting it, and then it falls back into some other list or something. But it works. It's working for me so far. So I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, so whatever works for whoever. I mean, there are different ways to do it. So, so by the
I
way, I
used to
want to
love
end
making long
the
lists. Yeah.
yeah, I want to end my part of the conversation because we're running out of time as well. On a funny note, when you go for an interview and the interviewer asks you, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" So uh, knowing now for sure that people who answer that question in 2015, everybody in the whole world got it wrong. But I think, but I think that's the right question about what your purpose is.
Yep.
Why are you doing what you're doing? What are you aiming for? What's your North Star? I think people need to think really hard on that. People need to stick to that and anchor themselves to that. If they get distracted, they have to rethink and come back to that. And this is what I say for individuals, but the same thing applies for organizations,
Yep. I agreed. You know what I mean?
right?
Like as I can tell you something as purpose. Like technically we do invest in companies. We're like a mini fund, and I obviously stopped asking founders, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" Because uh, you know there could be a million ways where the company can go. It can pivot into something that I've seen founders in two companies merge their business ideas. I've seen many people drift apart as founders, and the business suffering. I've seen businesses that's been on hold for 3 4 years, and then suddenly something like COVID comes in, and then revitals that whole business. So but again, especially when you're finding a co-founder, purpose, like as Zuhair said earlier, the purpose needs to be aligned, honestly, not for the business but your personal purpose needs to be aligned, and that's, I think, good companies and good founders uh, are always aligned when it comes to purpose. So, and I think I'm going to end with that as well. So, as I said, like, purpose is very important, and it's something always in the back of our minds. But alignment and making sure that's realistical and making sure that you get proper feedback on it is very important.
Yeah, man. Thanks, guys. I mean, I think, and I completely agree with both of you. I mean, I would challenge the 5-year thing. I think it made a lot of sense to me when I used to work for somebody else's. My dad used to say, if you're going to work so hard, don't work for somebody else's dream. Do your own. And so when I was an employee, which was an incredible time in my life, 15, 16 years, that I learned so much, and it gave me a lot of wind beneath my wings. But at that time, 5 years made sense to me because it took a while to kind of visualize or project yourself into a future. But I can barely see 6 months into the future and think, well, anything could happen. If I asked 5 years ago where I'd be right now with that, the idea that I was talking about, we're truly pivoting. But I think to end for me, I would say that sometimes if it's hard for you to identify or find meaning in a purpose, what helps a great deal is piggybacking off of others, people you trust, especially people on your team, whether they work for you or whether they work with you. We use the term work with us because that just feels more inclusive, and it actually is. We try to be as flat as possible. I recently brought a co-founder on board, and what I pitched to him, and originally he came on board for, is completely different from what we're actually doing today. But I think the reason why we're able to kind of move together and with everybody else is that our purpose was unified. And so whatever we did, we could rename it, we could restructure it, we could rebuild it, we could target a different market, different price points, different customer base. Everything could be completely new. But where we're aligned is that we both want to do something in this specific space because we have either experience or a vested interest or something else. And then the rest of it is just kind of combining your inertia. It's like 1 + 1 isn't 2, it's like 2 raised to the power n. And it's really just a matter of how you kind of bring that collective force together. It's incredible what you can do with it. And I agree, Abe, what you said earlier, that Abe doesn't have it doesn't have like a definite a meaning or a specific definition. But I think with that, it's also important that you're constantly kind of finding a way to define it for yourself, to recalibrate with what it means to you. Because at the end of the day, man, we've got one life and we got to make it count. And this is if there's the COVID has taught us, it's much more stressful than ever before. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think so. On that note, I think we've covered the three essential parts about pivoting, crisis, culture, and purpose. And how do you guys want to take it from the next episodes? I,
I mean,
any ideas of
let's
what we
get.
should be talking about? What should we be doing in the future episodes? Maybe we can take a feedback from our viewers.
Listeners, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think let's get people involved.
Yeah, let's get people involved. Let's get them to reach out to us and tell us what kind of conversations, possibly bring in a couple of guests down the road to talk about specific items or specific topics that people want to talk about. So I think the engagement will help us tremendously pivot the show into something more, to what they're looking for. So
Yeah.
it's always interesting and good to talk to you guys, but let's see what also people want us to talk about as well. I'm sure we have some stories that we can share.
Did you hear that? He's getting tired of us, man. Farrukh, I
No,
don't know
no,
how I feel
no,
about
no, no,
that.
never. Never. No, it's just no, it's
Yeah.
no, it's good. I mean, like, we could, like, literally, me and you guys can talk about things for hours and hours, right? So, but let's get some people involved. I'd love to get some listeners to put in some feedback, and I'd love to get some guests to pick their brains
Yeah.
about certain topics and how they do things.
No, there's some
All
brilliant
right.
people in the space, and I think we definitely need to get them connected somehow. Get some guests on board, get people to suggest things that they want us to talk about, and just roll with the punches and see how things go. I really want this to become like a community, a little more casual than a lot of the other stuff. We're not doing news, right? We're basically
Sure.
trying to define things based on our own experience. So yeah, I'd love to get other people on board.
Great. So
Cool.
there you have it, guys. So connect with us. We're on LinkedIn, all three of us. We're on, of course, YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. And good thing is, we have a dedicated channel for the show. So subscribe to the channel. Reach out to us on social media everywhere, and let's see. Let's look at the feedback, and then let's get relevant guests on board, and then we can take it from there. All right. Always a pleasure talking to you guys.
Bye bye.